ಶಂಕರ್ ಚೂರು ಹೌದು ಭಾರಿ ಕಷ್ಟ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರುಭ್ಯೋ ನಮಃ. ನಮಸ್ತೆ, ಶುಭ ಸಂಜೆ. ಗಣ್ಯರು ವೇದಿಕೆ ಬರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ಮಿಸ್ಟರ್ ಉದಯ್ ಹೊಳ್ಳ, ಜಸ್ಟಿಸ್ ಅರವಿಂದ್ ಕುಮಾರ್, ಪ್ರತಿಮಾ ಮೂರ್ತಿ, ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಹೆಗ್ಡೆ, ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಆಸೀನರಾಗಿರಿ. ಶುಭ ಸಂಜೆ. ಜಸ್ಟಿಸ್ ಶ್ರೀ K.R. ಗೋಪಿವಲ್ಲಭ ಅಯ್ಯಂಗಾರ್ ಮೆಮೋರಿಯಲ್ ಲೆಕ್ಚರ್ನ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭದ ಹಂತದಲ್ಲಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ನಾವೀಗ ಗಣ್ಯರು ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಆಗಮಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ವೇದಿಕೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈಗ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭವಾಗ್ತದೆ. ಮೊದಲಿಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ ಶ್ರೀ ಸೀನಿಯರ್ ಅಡ್ವೊಕೇಟ್ ಆದಂಥ K.G. ರಾಘವನರಿಂದ. ಶ್ರೀ K.G. ರಾಘವನ್.
Honorable Justice Arvind Kumar, Judge Supreme Court of India, Dr. Pratima Murthy, Director NIMHANS, Mr. Uday Holla, my good and noble friend, Honorable Chief Justice of the Karnataka High Court, Honorable Judges of the Karnataka High Court, distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen. I am indeed privileged to be standing in front of you to welcome you to this very important and to me a very emotional program. As you all know, this is a lecture organized in memory of my late father, Justice K.R. Gopivallabha Iyengar. He was a practicing advocate for several decades before he adorned the bench of the then High Court of Mysore. After his retirement, he was busy with several causes, including teaching at the Central College on honorary basis. It was his fond hope and desire that the members of the bar and the general public in Bangalore should have exposure to various subjects, not only of law, but other subjects, and that such knowledge should percolate to Bangalore from all across the country. It is with this objective that my late father started the endowment lecture at the Advocates Association, of which he was also the president. He designed these lectures on the style of the Hamlin lectures in England. And stalwarts of those days, like Dr. M.C. Settleward, Mr. M.K. Nambiar, Dr. K.M. Munshi, all these have delivered memorial lectures at that point. However, after my father became a judge of the High Court, for some reason, it did not continue, and it was my ardent desire that we should continue this. And it is with that hope and sincerity that I thought we should have a program to start today. It is the fond hope of all of us that this program will go year after year, and we will have eminent legal luminaries, not only legal luminaries, luminaries in various fields of life, come and speak on very important subjects. And there is a reason why we chose to have this program in this hall. Though I understand that, and I expected that the hall is going to be overcrowded, there is a particular reason why we chose to have this in this hall in preference to any other bigger hall in the same premises. That is because this hall is dedicated to my father, and it is our contribution to the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan at Bangalore. This hall is named after my father. It is called the K.R.G. Hall. And you will all be very happy to know that since the time this hall was inaugurated about 4 years ago, there have been innumerable programs that have taken place, and this hall is blessed to have such programs, and I sincerely believe that it is my father who is blessing the programs in this auditorium. I therefore welcome you, not only on my behalf, but on behalf of the organizers of this program, Vakeelara Vaahini, to this program. And I thank you sincerely for sparing your valuable time on a Friday evening. I made a request to Justice Arvind Kumar about 2 months ago that he should be kind enough to deliver this first lecture after the lecture series was started. And he was kind enough to agree to deliver that lecture. And I welcome you, sir, to this program. And I'm indeed very grateful to you for having agreed to deliver this lecture. And of course, I just have to say 2 words about the subject, because he is going to be dealing with it in detail. The one subject that has troubled all of us is how the constitutional functionaries should react to the concept of freedom of press. Is there a balance that is to be maintained between the role of courts and the role of the press? This is a very delicate balance to be maintained, and I am sure on this subject we will have light thrown by Justice Arvind Kumar in the course of his address. We have a special invitee at this program, Dr. Pratima Murthy. I feel strange to address her so formally as Dr. Pratima Murthy, because she is my niece. In other words, she is the granddaughter of Justice GOPIVALLABHA IYENGAR. And now I will address you as Pratima. Pratima, we are very proud of you for what you have done in your field. And as a professional, she is a stalwart, internationally recognized in the field in which she is working. I have to express my deep sense of gratitude to my dear and noble friend, Mr. UDAY HOLLA, for having agreed to be the chief guest and to preside over this program. He, as you know, is a very warm person. He is an eminent lawyer, and more than anything else, an extremely good friend. And I cannot thank him more for having agreed to be here with us this evening. I welcome all of you for having been here today, and I especially recognize the presence of the Honorable Chief Justice and the Honorable Judges of the High Court. There are several senior advocates and legal luminaries who are present here, and I extend my warm welcome to each one of you on my own personal behalf and on behalf of the organizers of this program. Thank you very much once again for being here today.
Thank you, sir. We also have the presence of the Chairman of Karnataka Law Commission, Dr. Ashok Inchigiri. We also welcome you, sir. May I now call upon Shri Arvind Neglur to offer a bouquet of welcome to Justice Arvind Kumar. Arvind Neglur is the founder of Vakeelara Vaahini. Shri Venkatesh Megaravalli to Madam Pratima Murthy. Shri Venkatesh Megaravalli is the sub-editor of Vakeelara Vaahini. Vishnu Praneeth to Mr. Uday, HOLLA. You are our guest today, sir. Mr. Kirtan Kumar to Mr. K.R.G. Raghavan. Mr. Kirtan Kumar. Kirtan Kumar is the young CEO of Soundarya Colleges of Law. It's a Soundarya College of Management institution, having about 10,000 students with him. His father is also present here, Soundarya Manjappa. They are the founders of that institute. Madam Chaitra, Miss Chaitra, to Dr. D.M. Hegde. Thank you. We'll quickly go to the program. Now I call upon Madam S.R. Anuradha, Senior Advocate, to speak further on this program and the tribute to Justice GOPIVALLABHA IYENGAR.
Thank you, Prashant. Honorable Justice Arvind Kumar, Madam Pratima Murthy, Senior Advocate Raghavan and Uday, HOLLA, Mr. Hegde, Honorable Judges of the High Court, past and present, Senior Advocates, Advocates and ladies and gentlemen. It's a rare moment when I get to stand between brilliance and more brilliance. Our guest speaker today and the protagonist of the evening. So I'll keep it very brief before I get overshadowed by both of them. I feel truly blessed to be the one introducing a legacy so profoundly rooted in service, intellect, and integrity. Justice GOPIVALLABHA IYENGAR. Born on December 24, 1908 in Tumkur, he rose from a humble background to become one of the towering figures in the legal landscapes of Karnataka. After his early education at the government high school in Tumkur, he pursued law at the Madras Law College and returned to Bangalore to practice under the legendary Shri Justice Nittur Srinivas Rao, who himself went on to become the Chief Justice of the state of Mysore. Justice GOPIVALLABHA IYENGAR quickly established himself as a leading practitioner in civil law, and as a president of the Advocates Association, he was instrumental in creating an endowment lecture series modeled on the prestigious Hamlin Lectures of England. These series attracted eminent legal minds and jurists like Settleward, Dr. Munshi, Mr. M.K. Nambiar, to name a few. He was a member of the Karnataka State Bar Council and in the year 1963 was elevated as the judge of the High Court of Mysore, serving with great distinction until his retirement in 1970. Post-retirement, he continued to contribute generously, leading a high-level inquiry into a major railway accident, teaching law at the Central Law College, Bangalore, and translating key legislations into Kannada. He was the chairperson of the Official Language Commission in Karnataka. He was also deeply involved in social, cultural, and religious institutions. His close association with Dr. Munshi led to the establishment of the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan in Bangalore, where we stand. And he served as honorary treasurer and building committee chairman for many years. Today, we are honored to be present in the presence of his son, Shri K.R.G. Raghavan, senior advocate, as we take meaningful steps to revive the very endowment lecture series that Justice Iyengar had so thoughtfully visioned. May I now request the dignitaries on the stage and the family members of Justice Iyengar to offer flowers to the portrait of Justice Iyengar as we have our heads in prayer for his eternal peace. Oh. Oh, can I also request family members? Thank you, everyone. We worship the three-eyed, that is Lord Shiva, who nourishes and nurtures all. May he liberate us from the bondage of death and lead us to mortality. With this prayer, may I request B.V. Krishna to introduce our speaker for the evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we are graced by the presence of Justice Aravind Kumar, Judge, Supreme Court of India. It is my distinct honor and no small challenge to introduce my Lord, whose reputation for wisdom precedes into every courtroom and whose judgments are so meticulously crafted. Graduating with honors in law from Bangalore University, my Lord soon established a reputation for intellectual rigor and compassionate advocacy, appearing in several high-stake matters and also for central government, more particularly the tax matters, when others find it very taxing. With professional ease, he has done it over the years, rising through the ranks on being appointed as the additional judge of the Honorable High Court of Karnataka, currently serving as Honorable Judge, Supreme Court of India. His tenure has been marked by profound commitment to safeguard the rights of citizens and maintaining the rule of law. He has shown us that clarity of thought, sense of justice, and jurisprudential brilliance could be the savoring mixture to deliver great legal precedents while upholding the constitutional values. My Lord has multiple soft skills in his armory, effectively managed the court proceedings in his own way. For once, I was a witness as he used the art of silence to silence a repetitive, non-ending argument of a senior counsel. In another instance, while presiding as the Chief Justice of High Court of Gujarat, he so beautifully used our Kannada language to effectively persuade a local language speaking lawyer of Gujarat to present his argument in English. Beyond the courtroom, my Lord is admired for his eloquence, humility, and dedication to mentor young legal minds, which many law interns vouch for. His sense of humor and timing on and off the bench is impeccable. His brotherly affection to the bar members is very well known. Today, we all are here to listen to Justice Arvind Kumar, Judge, Supreme Court of India, and his lecture today promises to be insightful, inspiring, and comprehensively iconic. May we request my Lord to deliver Justice K.R.G Iyengar Memorial Lecture on the topic, Liberty of the Press and Restraint, a Balancing Act. Floor is yours, my Lord.
A very good evening to one and all. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. Respected dignitaries on the dais, Mr. K.G. Raghavan and Sri Uday Holla, learned senior advocates, Dr. Pratima Murthy, Director of NIMHANS, Mr. B.A. Megde, President of the Vakeelara Vaahini, Madam Justice Manjula Chellur, former Chief Justice, Justice Kameshwar Rao, present Chief Justice of Karnataka High Court, my esteemed brother judges, Justice Ashok B. Hinchigiri, Chairman, Karnataka State Law Commission, all my brother judges and sister judges, learned advocates. The moment I entered this hall, I felt I have come back to the Bengaluru bar, my bar. I was feeling very, very comfortable and at ease and at home. Today we have in our midst Mr. K.N. Shantakumar, Editor-in-Chief of Deccan Herald and Prajavani newspapers. There are many learned senior advocates. Raghavendra has come all the way from Delhi. Sriranga is here. So many, if I start, the whole speech will be the full of names whom I know. So I will just restrict. Even Basuraj Bar Council member is here. Arvind Kamath, learned Additional Solicitor General. Mr. Shanti Bhushan, learned Deputy Solicitor General. All my learned advocates. Mr. Ramaswamy, former Additional Chief Secretary, is here. He is standing. May I request any youngster to make way for him to occupy a seat. I think his son would be the ideal person to give him a seat. Mr. Raghavan said in his introductory speech that he had met me 2 months back and requested me to deliver the first lecture of the GOPIVALLABHA IYENGAR Memorial Lecture Series. The moment he said, I said, I will come. And before that, I asked him, what is the subject? When he said the subject would be liberty of the press and restraint, a balancing act, you will have to speak on this subject, I readily agreed for 2 reasons. which I did not disclose to him on that day, and I would like to share it from this dais. Number one, when I got married in the year 1990, Justice Nittur Srinivas Rao had attended my wedding. So my father introduced him and he said, he is an young budding lawyer, so you take the blessings of Justice Nittur Srinivas Rao. So I asked him in the reception, sir, who is the best colleague you had, junior you had? Immediately he said, Mr. Justice GOPIVALLABHA IYENGAR. So that was the first reason why I agreed. The second one was, one day I accidentally saw my father's passport. His occupation was written as journalist. So I said, now you are not a journalist, but you are in the profession. He was in cooperative movement. At that time, he was the chairman of National Cooperative Housing Federation, New Delhi. So I asked him then, how come you are written as journalism? He said, I said, you please change it. He said, no, till my last breath, my profession will remain as a journalist. The two reasons which I do not want to take out that is, it is only two persons who can change the course of the country. One is a journalist, another one is advocate. So he said, I have become a journalist, now you should become a lawyer. At that time I was not a lawyer. So that is how he forced me to become a lawyer. And today I am here in your midst, standing as the judge of the Supreme Court of India. Justice GOPIVALLABHA IYENGAR was a very great man. My senior, Mr. S. Nanjun Swami, used to always say, if you have to learn not only the etiquettes of how you should behave in the court, how you should conduct the cases, you should also learn how you can be a good human being. If you want to learn, you learn from Justice GOPIVALLABHA Iyengar's deeds. This is what he told us. The third time was when I met Mr. Raghavan while we were opposing a matter from my senior's office. He used to fight and fight and fight. So then I asked my senior, sir, who is this, sir? We always fight, sir. He said, no, he is the son of GOPIVALLABHA Iyengar. So this is another reason which I said I will not miss this opportunity to be in your midst to share. They said I'll be throwing some light. No, I will not be throwing any light. I'll be sharing my thoughts. Whatever has occurred to me, I'll just share my thoughts. Honorable judges, distinguished members of the bar, academia, esteemed guests, friends from print and electronic media, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to stand before you to speak today on a theme that lies at the very core of democratic society. Liberty of the press and restraint, a balancing act. This is not merely a legal question, it is a constitutional conundrum. It is a philosophical paradox, and it is, above all, a democratic necessity. Let me begin with a deeper invocation, not just from the Constitution, but from our civilization consciousness. In the Mahabharata, when Arjuna stood bewildered at the battlefield of Kurukshetra, unsure of whether to act or to retreat, Lord Krishna did not silence him. He did not say, you keep quiet. He did not say, you hear what I say. He did not say, do what I say. On the other hand, he engages Arjuna in a conversation, in a dialogue. He asks Arjuna to ask questions. He shares his thoughts. He encourages introspection. He does not demand blind obedience. He inspires conscious action. This very spirit of speaking, questioning, and enlightening is what the freedom of the press embodies in a modern constitutional state. Our Upanishad tradition teaches us through niti, not this and not that, that is truth discovered, through continuous questioning and peeling away of falsehood. The press, in that sense, is the rishi of our times, tasked with the sacred duty of unveiling the truth through fearless inquiry. But that same sacred knowledge as per our scriptures, were never to be wielded without humility and dharma. In the Shanti Parva of Mahabharata, Bhishma advises Yudhishthira that, quote, power without restraint leads to ruin. Wisdom without balance leads to arrogance. Likewise, the press today holds immense power, the power to shape our minds, stir nations, and expose injustice. But that power, like the divine Sudarshan Chakra, must not be wielded in anger, not in ego, not with any other attachments, but with dharma, with a sense of responsibility to the truth and to bring the truth to the people. Therefore, the liberty and restraint must walk hand in hand, not in conflict, but in constitutional conversation. Today, I shall walk you through this tightrope with 6 broad themes. Number 1, freedom of speech and the role of the press. 2, constitutional bars and liberties. 3, landmark Supreme Court judgments. 4, the constitutional morality of free press. 5, the balancing act in practice. And 6th is my conclusion, reaffirming the 4th pillar. And when I said 6 topics, please don't get scared that it may take long time. It will not exceed more than 20 to 25 minutes. The first subject or the first topic which I say is freedom of speech. At the foundation of any liberal democracy lies the freedom to think, to speak, and to dissent. Article 19(1)(a) of our Constitution enshrines the sacred freedom, that is, the right to freedom of speech and expression. The word press does not explicitly appear in Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution, and it has been judicially accepted that the freedom of the press is a derivative right flowing directly from the freedom of speech. This was firmly articulated in Indian Express newspaper versus Union of India, 1985, 1 SEC, page 641, where the Apex Court noted, I quote, the freedom of the press is not only valuable for its own sake, but is also essential to the political health of our democracy, unquote. The press is our collective voice. It informs the citizens, scrutinizes the government, and ignites public debate. It is both sword and a shield, a protector of liberty and a platform for accountability. However, we must remember that the freedom of the press is not absolute. Even Voltaire, the great advocate of free thought, would concede that liberty without responsibility is tyranny in another form. In our ancient Hindu lore, the sages rishis were the voices of the people and the conscience of the kings. Or in other words, they were their conscience keepers. They spoke truth to power fearlessly and often at great risk. Today, the media is the inheritor of that sacred role. Both sages, but those sages also practiced what is called as mauna or silence when necessary and measured speech when appropriate. Freedom was never divorced from wisdom. In the same vein, press liberty must be accompanied by self-awareness. The tongue may be free, but the intellect must be bound by responsibility. The second chapter which I would like to deal with is constitutional bars and liberties. The framers of our Constitution envisioned a responsible liberty, hence the reasonable restrictions under Article 19(2) was envisaged. The state may impose restrictions in the interest of, number 1, sovereignty and integrity of India, 2, security of the state, 3, to maintain the friendly relations with foreign states, 4, public order, 5, decency or morality, 6, contempt of court, 7, defamation, and 8, incitement to an offense. In Ramesh Thapar versus State of Madras, 1950 SC 124, this is this is earlier to the subsequent judgments which defined what is public order. The court struck down a state-imposed ban on a journal, holding that unless the restriction directly endangers the public order, it cannot be justified. This early post-constitutional jurisprudence emphasized that public order must have a close nexus with the expression sought to be restrained. The court has since evolved a finely tuned approach to such restrictions favoring liberty unless the speech crosses into dangerous terrain. Equally relevant is Article 21, the right to life and personal liberty, which sometimes finds itself on the other end of the spectrum, particularly when media trials or sensational journalism impinge upon individual dignity and fair trial. Thus, our constitutional scheme is a careful calibration of liberty with responsibility, not a zero-sum game, but a dynamic equilibrium. In the age of mass communication, press freedom is not just the right to publish, it is the power to shape perception. And with such power comes the burden of dharma, to speak not only freely but also rightly. Some of the landmark judgments of the apex court, which I would like to deal only about few of them, which defined the judicial moments where the apex court walked on the razor edge of liberty and restraint. In Bennett Coleman versus Union of India, 72, two Supreme Court cases, page 788, at para 46, this is what the apex court said. I quote, freedom of speech cannot be abridged on the ground that it may be exercised improperly. Under the misapprehension that it is likely to be misused, it cannot be, the right to freedom of press or freedom of right to free speech cannot be impinged. In Rajgopal versus State of Tamil Nadu, 1994, 6 SCC 632 at paragraph 29, it was observed the contours of privacy versus press freedom. I quote, the right to publish is a part of the freedom of the press, but it is the subject to the right to privacy of the individual. You cannot encroach upon the individual privacy and then claim or take umbrage under the right to free speech. In Sharda, India, Real Estate versus SEBI, 2012, 10 SCC, page 603, at paragraph 49, the court upheld the concept of postponement orders to ensure fair trial rights, striking a balance of media freedom and judicial sanctity. In one of the recent judgments, that is Arnab Goswami versus Union of India, 2020, 14 volume, SCC page 12, it was held in a modern context. The court reiterated that the press must be protected against harassment, but not at the cost of hate speech or communal incitement. These decisions show that the court has not chosen any sides, but upheld the spirit of Article 19(1)A while preserving the dignity of Article 21 and the majesty of justice. The fourth chapter which I would like to deal is with regard to constitutional morality of free press. We now turn to a theme close to my heart, that is constitutional morality. The term constitutional morality was famously elaborated by the apex court in Navdeep Singh Johar versus Union of India, 2018, 10 SCC, page 1, where Justice Chandrachud described it as, quote, a pledge to preserve the letter and spirit of the Constitution. In this light, freedom of the press is not merely a legal right, it is a moral duty. It must serve truth over sensation, or public interest over profit. What do you call it, ratings? That should not be the yardstick. And constitutional values over corporate existence or corporate entities or corporate beneficiaries. The real test of the press freedom is not in its ability to criticize governments, but in its encourage to uphold truth when it is inconvenient, to question narratives when they are popular, and to speak for the voiceless when it is unprofitable. But this moral compass must point both ways. Editors, anchors, digital influencers, they are not just voices, they are power holders. And power, as we know, must bow to scrutiny. Free speech is the mantra, not as a weapon. Its purpose is transformation, not provocation. Similarly, The press must not only follow the law, it must uphold its moral spirit, just as in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is told that his actions must arise from Swadharma, his inner code. So too must the media follow its inner dharma, that is journalistic dharma. What are those journalistic dharma? Number one, seek truth, avoid harm, ensure it serves the public interest, and lastly, be accountable. We must recall that speech is a Shakti, a form of power, and Shakti in our tradition is both creative and destructive. It creates change when misused. It creates change, but when misused, it foments chaos. Hence, the Constitution steps in not to silence but to moderate or to balance it, like a charioteer directing a wild horse. Now comes the fifth aspect, that is the balancing act in practice. In practice, this balance is neither easy nor mechanical. It must evolve case by case, context by context. It all depends upon the terrain it travels. It takes its shape from the terrain it travels, where sometimes downwards, sometimes upwards, sometimes hard terrain. Consider these modern dilemmas. Number one, media trials before judicial ones. Two, social media virality versus verified journalism. Corporate ownership versus editorial independence. Fake news factories and algorithm-driven outrage. The question is, how do we regulate without stifling? How do we restrain without suppressing? Statutory frameworks like the Press Council Act, Cable Television Network Regulation Act, and IT Act and Rules 2021 provide necessary regulation. But these instruments must themselves pass the test of proportionality as laid down in Modern Dental College versus State of Madhya Pradesh, 2016, 7 SCC 353, and later on in Puttaswamy's case, that is Privacy, Right to Privacy, 2017, 10 SCC, page 1. The four-pronged test of legality, necessity, proportionality, and least destructive means is crucial when dealing with laws that touch freedom of the press. Moreover, self-regulation by media bodies, fact-checking mechanism, ombudsman frameworks, and journalistic ethics charters must form the internal conscience of the media. And with these 5 subjects, I come to the conclusion and say that the press is often called the fourth estate. It is the truth, the first sentinel of liberty, of justice and democracy. The duty of the press is not to protect power, but to provoke thought. And yet, thought must not provoke hatred. Liberty must not descend into anarchy. That is the balancing act we must uphold, not merely as judges or journalists, but as citizens of a constitutional republic. In the ever-evolving theatre of democracy, the press stands as both sentinel and storyteller, wielding immense power, but equally burdened with profound responsibility. Liberty of the press is not merely a constitutional guarantee, it is the lifeblood of informed public discourse, the conscience of the people, and the mirror held up to power. Yet, with all freedoms, it must walk in tandem with restraint, not imposed by heavy hand of the state, but exercised from within, through ethics, integrity, and a commitment to truth. The challenge lies in the balance between fearless journalism and factual accuracy, between critic and civility, between revelation and responsibility. Restraint in this light is not a limitation, but a measure of maturity, not censorship, but calibration. In a pluralistic society where voices are many and truths are often contested, the press must be both bold and balanced. As custodian of the Constitution, it is not our role to stifle the press, but neither can we be indifferent to the consequences of its misuse. In this delicate dance between liberty and restraint, it is wisdom, not impulse, that must guide us. Let us remember the strength of democracy is not in the loudness of its voices, but in the harmony of their coexistence. And in this context, the press is the most powerful instrument capable of both cacophony and cadence. May it always choose the latter. Before I conclude, and as I said in the beginning, when my father was very particular to maintain his credentials in his passport, in all his identity as a journalist, I asked him, you give me one strong reason as to why you want to retain this. He said, he was imprisoned in Mysore jail during freedom struggle. So he was inside the jail for about 4 years. So he said, during third year, they were given little liberties. They were getting one lunch from the house. What he was doing is he was working with a press or a newspaper called Sadhvi, which Mr. Shant Kumar must be knowing, that Sadhvi paper was a leading newspaper in Mysore in those days. So he was writing for that newspaper, and the information he used to collect inside the jail from other jail inmates, he was sending it along with the tiffin box, that carrier which he used to get it. And that used to go and reach the press. And one day that they intercepted that tiffin box and they found out that he was sending this. And again he was transferred from Mysore jail to Hassan jail. That is where he met Ashok Harnalli's father, Harnalli Ramaswamy, and they became jailmates. So he said, we never anticipated that we'll get freedom for our country. It is through these writings, through these newspapers, we used to provoke the people to fight for the freedom of the country. And that is one reason where I want to retain this status of being a journalist till my last breath, and he maintained that till his last breath in the year 2007. So the journalists, and I say that even advocates are called as social doctors. They are the one who are capable of changing the course of the country. So I appeal to both the learned advocates and the press to go hand in hand and see that our democracy is reinforced with more strength, and we'll take our country to greater heights. With this, I take leave of you, and I thank Mr. K.G. Raghavan and all his family members for having given me an opportunity to come here and share my few thoughts with the learned members of the bar, learned judges, and all the elite persons who have joined here. Thank you once again. Namaskar. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for your well-researched, segmented presentation. You also brought in your personal family experience into it. Lordship, you have said about the role of Lord Krishna in Mahabharata, that Rishivaryas were the voice of the people and the conscience of the kings. The press, likewise, is a Rishi of our times, tasked with sacred duty of enabling truth through fearless inquiry. Press should follow Swadharma, the inner code. Press is a charioteer riding the wild horse. Duty of the press is not to protect power, but to provoke thought process. Press must be bold, but also balanced. Media is the inheritor of the sacred role. We have published the book of Lordship's speech, which will be available, which will be delivered to you at the time when you are exiting from the auditorium. For the dignitaries on the dais and also the others who are present here, my learned friends also, Vakeelara Vaahini is also a journal which has been started by few advocates. So today's lecture, when Lordship has ended saying that the lawyers have a role to play as a social doctor, so we have started this magazine in August 2021. To tell you, when we started with about 28 pages. We were not sure whether we will be able to fill up all the 28 pages. we thought in the team, including Mr. Neglur, myself and Dr. Hegde, maybe 14 ಪೇಜ್ ನಾವು ಬರೀಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೇನೋ, 14 ಪೇಜ್ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಸಿಗ್ಬೋದೇನೋ, ಅಂದರೆ ಕವರ್ ಪುಟ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿ ಸೇರಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು. Today we have come to 40 pages. In fact, some issues it has been 48. And I'm telling you, I'm confessing, we are not able to find space to write now. That's the support I'm getting from some of you who are present here. We have some of the authors who are present here, some of the youngsters, law interns, young law advocates, retired judges. They're all contributing articles. I would say the issue for July is already ready. I have all the articles, plus I have the articles for August and September. That's the huge response I'm getting from all of you. So we will be very grateful to you all for having this encouragement for us. I would also say, as Vakeelara Vaahini, which is a legal journal, we will follow the Dharma. We will not deviate from what you have said, and we will follow it. Vakeelara Vaahini also has a YouTube channel. We have started this recently, and there has been very good response. We have some of the stalwarts here who have been also interviewed there, the celebrities from the law field, as also some of the retired judges and others on the subject of law and common man. So Vakeelara Vaahini, in short, is a magazine by the lawyers, to the lawyers, the legal fraternity, and the common man, Janasamanyarige. This has been our motto. So we request all of you to support us, encourage us, and if we deviate from what we have been committed today, warn us also. Thank you very much. Two more words before that. Justice Prasann Varale, when he was here as the Chief Justice, and later Justice Anjaria as the Chief Justice, had participated in our program on separate occasions. And they have said particularly, we have not found a similar magazine anywhere we have traveled in the whole of India. So that's a credit we have, and that's a bar we have, and the support we have. So we expect the same thing to be continued. We require your support. Thank you. Now is the time for speech by Madam Pratima Murthy. Before that, I request Shrikant Patil, advocate, to give a introduction of Madam.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಪ್ರಸ್ತುತ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಮಾನಸಿಕ ಆರೋಗ್ಯ ಮತ್ತು ನರವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯ ನಿಮ್ಹಾನ್ಸ್ನ ನಿರ್ದೇಶಕಿಯಾಗಿರುವ ಭಾರತ ಕಂಡ ಪ್ರಖ್ಯಾತ ಮನೋವೈದ್ಯೆ, ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ತಜ್ಞೆ, ಅತ್ಯುತ್ತಮ ಆಡಳಿತಗಾರ್ತಿ ಹಾಗೂ ಸಂಶೋಧಕಿಯಾಗಿರುವ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಪ್ರತಿಮಾ ಮೂರ್ತಿಯವರನ್ನು ತಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಪರಿಚಯಿಸುವ ಸದಾವಕಾಶ ನನಗೊದಗಿದೆ. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಪ್ರತಿಮಾ ಮೂರ್ತಿಯವರು ತಮ್ಮ MBBS ವೈದ್ಯಕೀಯ ಪದವಿಯನ್ನು 1985ನೇ ಇಸವಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಪಡೆದು ನಂತರ 1989ರಲ್ಲಿ ತಮ್ಮ DPM ಮತ್ತು MD ಪದವಿಯನ್ನು ಮನೋವೈದ್ಯಶಾಸ್ತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಪಡೆದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ತದನಂತರ 1992ನೇ ಇಸವಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮ್ಯಾಂಚೆಸ್ಟರ್ ವಿಶ್ವವಿದ್ಯಾಲಯದಿಂದ ಡಿಪ್ಲೊಮಾ ಇನ್ ಸೈಕಲಾಜಿಕಲ್ ಮೆಡಿಸಿನ್ ಪದವಿಯನ್ನು ಸಹ ಪಡೆದಿರುತ್ತಾರೆ. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಪ್ರತಿಮಾ ಮೂರ್ತಿಯವರು ಯುನೈಟೆಡ್ ಕಿಂಗ್ಡಮ್ ಮತ್ತು ಕಾಮನ್ವೆಲ್ತ್ ದೇಶಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಲಿನಿಕಲ್ ಅಭ್ಯಾಸ, ಶೈಕ್ಷಣಿಕ ಅರ್ಹತೆ ಮತ್ತು ಸಂಶೋಧನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಶ್ರೇಷ್ಠತೆಯನ್ನು ಪ್ರದರ್ಶಿಸಿದ ವೈದ್ಯರಿಗೆ ನೀಡುವ ಪ್ರತಿಷ್ಠಿತ ಫೆಲೋ ಆಫ್ ರಾಯಲ್ ಕಾಲೇಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಫಿಸಿಷಿಯನ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸರ್ಜನ್ಸ್ ಗ್ಲಾಸ್ಗೋ ಅರ್ಹತೆಗೂ ಭಾಜನರಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ತಮ್ಮ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣವನ್ನು ಪೂರೈಸಿದ ನಂತರ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನ ನಿಮ್ಹಾನ್ಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅಧ್ಯಾಪಕ ವೃತ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ಆರಂಭಿಸಿದ ಇವರು ಶೈಕ್ಷಣಿಕ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರಕ್ಕೆ ಕ್ಲಿನಿಕಲ್ ಮತ್ತು ಆಡಳಿತಾತ್ಮಕ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಹಲವಾರು ಹುದ್ದೆಗಳನ್ನು ಅಲಂಕರಿಸಿ ಯಶಸ್ವಿಯಾಗಿ ಕಾರ್ಯನಿರ್ವಹಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗೆ ಹೆಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಡಿಪಾರ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೈಕ್ಯಾಟ್ರಿ, ಹೆಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಸೆಂಟರ್ ಫಾರ್ ಅಡಿಕ್ಷನ್ ಮೆಡಿಸಿನ್, ಹೆಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಫಾರೆನ್ಸಿಕ್ ಸೈಕ್ಯಾಟ್ರಿ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಹೆಡ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಚೇರ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೈಕೋಥೆರಪಿ. ಇದಲ್ಲದೆ ತಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿರುವ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಮತ್ತು ಪಾಂಡಿತ್ಯವನ್ನು ಮುಂದಿನ ಪೀಳಿಗೆಯವರಿಗೆ ವಿಸ್ತರಿಸುವ ಕಾಯಕದಲ್ಲಿ ತಮ್ಮನ್ನು ತೊಡಗಿಸಿಕೊಂಡು ನೂರಾರು ಸ್ನಾತಕೋತ್ತರ ಪದವಿ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಿಗೆ, ಸ್ನಾತಕೋತ್ತರ ಪ್ರಬಂಧಗಳಿಗೆ ಮತ್ತು PhD ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಮಾರ್ಗದರ್ಶನವನ್ನು ನೀಡಿರುತ್ತಾರೆ. 2021ನೇ ಇಸವಿಯ ಕೋವಿಡ್-19 ಸಂಕಷ್ಟದ ಸಮಯದಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಹಾನ್ಸ್ನ ನಿರ್ದೇಶಕರಾಗಿ ಅಧಿಕಾರಿ ವಹಿಸಿಕೊಂಡ ಇವರು ಒಬ್ಬ ದೂರದೃಷ್ಟಿತ್ವ ಇರುವ ಆಡಳಿತಗಾರ್ತಿ ಎಂಬುದನ್ನು ತಮ್ಮ ಸಾಧನೆಗಳ ಮೂಲಕ ನಿರೂಪಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬಹುಮುಖ್ಯವಾದ ಕೆಲವು ಸಾಧನೆಗಳು ಇಂತಿವೆ: ಪ್ಲಾಟಿನಂ ಜುಬಿಲಿ ಆಡಿಟೋರಿಯಂನ ಸ್ಥಾಪನೆ, ಸೆಂಟ್ರಲೈಸ್ಡ್ ಲ್ಯಾಬೊರೇಟರಿ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್ ಸ್ಥಾಪನೆ, ಹೊಸ ಆಡಳಿತಾತ್ಮಕ ಬ್ಲಾಕ್ನ ಸ್ಥಾಪನೆ, ಸೈಕ್ಯಾಟ್ರಿಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಪೆಷಾಲಿಟಿ ಬ್ಲಾಕ್ ಸ್ಥಾಪನೆ. ಬಹುಮುಖ್ಯವಾದ ಅಂಶವೇನೆಂದರೆ ಇವರು ಕಳೆದ 50 ವರ್ಷಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಉನ್ನತ ಹುದ್ದೆಯನ್ನು ಅಲಂಕರಿಸಿದ ಈ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯ ಉನ್ನತ ಹುದ್ದೆಯನ್ನು ಅಲಂಕರಿಸಿದ 2ನೇ ಮಹಿಳೆ ಮತ್ತು ಮೊದಲ ಮಹಿಳಾ ಮನೋವೈದ್ಯೆಯಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇವರ ಅತ್ಯಂತ ಪ್ರಮುಖ ಕೊಡುಗೆಗಳೆಂದರೆ ಭಾರತದಲ್ಲಿರುವ ಅತಿ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಮಾನಸಿಕ ಆರೋಗ್ಯ ಸಹಾಯವಾಣಿಯಾದ ಟೆಲಿಮಾನಸ್ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ರೂಪಿಸಿದ್ದು. ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವು ಸುಮಾರು 18 ಲಕ್ಷಕ್ಕೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಕರೆಗಳನ್ನು ನಿರ್ವಹಿಸುವುದಲ್ಲದೆ ದೇಶದ ನಾಗರಿಕರನ್ನು ತರಬೇತಿ ಪಡೆದ ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಪ್ರೊಫೆಷನಲ್ಸ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಸಂಪರ್ಕಿಸುತ್ತದೆ. ಭಾರತದಲ್ಲಿನ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಮಾನಸಿಕ ಆರೋಗ್ಯ ನೀತಿ ಮತ್ತು ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಯ ಸುಧಾರಣೆಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಭಾರತ ಸರ್ಕಾರವು ಕೈಗೊಳ್ಳುವ ಹಲವಾರು ಯೋಜನೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹುಮುಖ್ಯ ಕೊಡುಗೆಗಳನ್ನು ಸಹ ಇವರು ನೀಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗೆ ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಪಾಲಿಸಿ ಆಫ್ 2014, ದ ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಕೇರ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಟ್ 2017, ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಸೂಸೈಡ್ ಪ್ರಿವೆನ್ಷನ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಟಜಿ 2022. ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಪ್ರತಿಮಾ ಮೂರ್ತಿಯವರ ಸಾಧನೆಯ ಹೆಜ್ಜೆಗಳನ್ನು ಭಾರತದಲ್ಲಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲದೆ ಅಂತಾರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಮಟ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿಯೂ ಸಹ ಕಾಣಬಹುದು. ಇವರು ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್, ಯುನೈಟೆಡ್ ನೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಆಫೀಸ್ ಆನ್ ಡ್ರಗ್ಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಕ್ರೈಮ್ ಮತ್ತು ಇಂಟರ್ನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಲೇಬರ್ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ನಂತಹ ಮುಂತಾದ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಸಲಹೆಗಳನ್ನು ಸಹ ನೀಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇದಲ್ಲದೆ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ನ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಟಜಿಕ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಿಕಲ್ ಅಡ್ವೈಸರಿ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ನ ಸದಸ್ಯರಾಗಿ ಮತ್ತು ಜಾಗತಿಕ ತಜ್ಞರಾಗಿ ಕೊಡುಗೆಗಳನ್ನು ನೀಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅತ್ಯುತ್ತಮ ಮತ್ತು ಅಂತಾರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಮಟ್ಟದ ಸಂಶೋಧಕರು ಆಗಿರುವ ಇವರು ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಪ್ರತಿಮಾ ಮೂರ್ತಿಯವರ ಸುಮಾರು 300ಕ್ಕೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಲೇಖನಗಳನ್ನು ಪಿಯರ್ ರಿವ್ಯೂಡ್ ಜರ್ನಲ್ಸ್ಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಕಟಗೊಂಡಿವೆ ಮತ್ತು 400ಕ್ಕೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ವೈಜ್ಞಾನಿಕ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಷನ್ಸ್ಗಳು, ಸುಮಾರು 40ಕ್ಕೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ರಿಸರ್ಚ್ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಸಹ ಇವರು ಪೂರ್ಣಗೊಳಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಇಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲದೆ ಇವರು ಸಮಾಜಕ್ಕೆ ಮತ್ತು ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ನೀಡಿರುವ ಸೇವೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಸನ್ಮಾನಗಳು ಮತ್ತು ಪುರಸ್ಕಾರಗಳಿಗೆ ಸಹ ಭಾಜನರಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವುಗಳೆಂದರೆ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ರಾಜಾರಾಮಣ್ಣ ಅವಾರ್ಡ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಗೌರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಇನ್ ದ ಇಯರ್ 2019, ರೋಟರಿ ಲೈಫ್ ಟೈಮ್ ಅಚೀವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅವಾರ್ಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಡಿ ಅಡಿಕ್ಷನ್ 2020ನೇ ಇಸವಿಯಲ್ಲಿ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ 2021ನೇ ಇಸವಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ರೀಜನಲ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಸ್ಪೆಷಲ್ ರೆಕಗ್ನಿಷನ್ ಅವಾರ್ಡ್ ಆನ್ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ನೋ ಟೊಬ್ಯಾಕೋ ಡೇ, ತಿಲಕ್ ವಿನೋಬ್ರಾವ್ ಒರೇಷನ್ ಅವಾರ್ಡ್, ಮಾರ್ಫೇಷಿಯಾ ಅವಾರ್ಡ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಸೈಕ್ಯಾಟ್ರಿಕ್ ಸೊಸೈಟಿ ಮತ್ತು ಇತ್ತೀಚೆಗೆ WHO ಜಿನೆವಾಸ್ ನೆಲ್ಸನ್ ಮಂಡೇಲಾ ಪ್ರೈಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಪ್ರಮೋಷನನ್ನು ನಿಮ್ಹಾನ್ಸ್ನ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಸಹ ಸ್ವೀಕರಿಸಿರುತ್ತಾರೆ. ಇವರ ನಾಯಕತ್ವದ ಅಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಹಾನ್ಸ್ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯು ಭಾರತದ ಮೊದಲ 4 ಅತ್ಯುತ್ತಮ ವೈದ್ಯಕೀಯ ಸಂಶೋಧನಾ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದಾಗಿ ಸತತವಾಗಿ ಗುರುತಿಸಲ್ಪಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಮಾನಸಿಕ ಆರೋಗ್ಯ ಮತ್ತು ಮನೋವೈದ್ಯಶಾಸ್ತ್ರದ ವಿಷಯದಲ್ಲಿ ರಾಷ್ಟ್ರ ಮತ್ತು ಅಂತಾರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಮಟ್ಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಧಕರಾಗಿರುವ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಪ್ರತಿಮಾ ಮೂರ್ತಿಯವರ ಕಿರುಪರಿಚಯವನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡಲು ಅವಕಾಶ ನೀಡಿದ ವಕೀಲರ ವಾಹಿನಿ ಬಳಗಕ್ಕೆ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ಸಲ್ಲಿಸುತ್ತೇನೆ. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಜೈ ಹಿಂದ್, ಜೈ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ.
Thank you very much, Honorable Justice Arvind Kumar, Shri Uday Holla, Shri K.R.G. Raghavan, Shri Hegde, former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of India, present Chief Justice of the Karnataka High Court, Honorable Justices, Senior Advocates, journalists, ladies and gentlemen. I can only say I'm overwhelmed. I was going to say for 2 reasons, but now I'll have to say for 3 reasons. The first is, of course, thank you very much for that very, very generous introduction. I must say that there are 2 very, very important recent introductions which I am very pleased about, and that is that the Government of India has actually sanctioned a new outpatient department for NIMHANS after 40 long years. So that's something that we are very excited about, because I believe that will help us to serve people better. And in principle, there has been an agreement, as you would have seen in the press, for a polytrauma center in North Bangalore and Kalsanhalli. We hope that will also reach fruition. So I think those are 2 very, very exciting milestones. And it's always nice when institutions are supported, not just to grow for themselves and for the people within them, but to serve humanity better. The second reason I'm a little bit overwhelmed is that I'm normally used to speaking to a group of doctors. You call them all social doctors. I've got to take a little panga with you on that. But nevertheless, so it's pretty difficult. And I think the only time one has to really speak to a group like this is when one is in the courtroom giving expert evidence, and I can tell you it's not a very comfortable situation. I'd much rather be talking to all of you in this forum. The third thing, and I think the most important reason, is that I'm here today perhaps not as the director of NIMHANS, but as the granddaughter of K.R.G. GOPIVALLABHA IYENGAR. And to me, that possibly represents something much more important and much more close to my heart than any kind of professional achievement might do. I'm going to start off. You know, this afternoon we were just discussing about ChatGPT and artificial intelligence and so on. So curiously, I mean, you know, this was perhaps about 5 decades ago when my grandfather was actually, you know, a judge in the Karnataka High Court. But I thought, let me just check what ChatGPT will say about my grandfather. Idle curiosity. I'm going to say a lot of personal things which ChatGPT doesn't know about, but perhaps after this recording will get incorporated in further ChatGPT descriptions. Nevertheless, I asked ChatGPT to present an ode to my grandfather. So ChatGPT went, and after listening to this, you'll realize that it's a fair description of what you said about my grandfather. And of course, I'll tell you a little bit more. So it says, ode to K.R.G. GOPIVALLABHA IYENGAR, O stalwart of the law, whose wisdom stood like granite firm through storm and flood, justice shone through your noble mind, a beacon clear, composed, refined. In Karnataka's proud and hallowed hall, your voice rang true with duty's call, not swayed by power, nor pride, nor plea, but tempered strong by equity. Upon the bench you carved your name in letters fair, not sought for fame, but for the cause of truth alone, you judged with grace as right was shown. With language crisp and reason deep, you stirred the soul, made tyrants weep. The common man found strength anew in verdicts wise, in justice true. You held the scales with even hand, a scholar firm, a leader grand. Every ruling bore the stamp of thought. In every line, the law was taught. Now in the quiet of retired days, of course, no longer retired, but perhaps in another place, still echo sounds of silent praise, as we heard today. For legacy is not in stone, but in the justice you have shown. May younger minds, in robes to be, recall your path and walk as free. O GOPIVALLABHA, noble name, the court you served, their lasting flame. By the way, you can also get a very good Kannada anuvada of this. I'm not going to bore you with the Kannada part of it. But I think what I thought was, I mean, it's amazing how things can be put together. And many of the characteristics that you described are perhaps, endowed in this. But let me now kind of transition to a much more personal, image of my grandfather. And I think one of the things that we have at home is that several other people have followed in his footsteps. K.G. Raghavan for one. We have my cousins, both Goda and Radha, who have also become lawyers, and perhaps several others as well. Her in-laws are lawyers who are here with us today. So we are completely underpowered as far as doctors are concerned. And one of the strongest fights we have is the few doctors with the overwhelming and loud lawyers. I like to think that we win the battle because we are the real doctors. They're what you call the social doctors. Nevertheless, I think, but the most important thing I believe is that some of the values that my grandfather stood for. You mentioned, of course, integrity and etiquette, which undoubtedly is something that I would associate with my grandfather. But the idea of keeping, your values being grounded, being fair, being equitable, being kind, being generous, being firm and on the side of the truth are all values that possibly all of us have inculcated over time. In the introduction, they mentioned that silence was one of the weapons that you used. My grandfather also used silence most effectively. All he had to do was not say anything, and you would be sure, you would wonder what you did wrong and correct yourself immediately. So amazing kind of use of silence. But as a judge, I was all of 2 years old when he became a judge in the Karnataka High Court. So clearly I do not have any real images of what he was like in the courtroom, except perhaps going and picking him up in the car that used to bring him home at times. But my outstanding memory of my grandfather was my having to recite "Ate a Peanut" in front of all the brother judges who came home. You could be sure if I was visiting my grandfather and somebody came home, he would call me, and I, all of 4 or 5 years old, would stand up there and recite "Ate a Peanut." I don't know how many of you know that song, which was very popular, which was a nursery rhyme that was very popular. But that's what I remember doing. And now, I know it feels a little bit like a performing monkey now, but I'm sure I kind of enjoyed the kind of attention that I got. And then he resided in a place which had judges all around. There was Justice Sadashivaya, and we used to go to his house a lot. There was Justice Chandrasekhar, we used to visit their family a lot. There was also Justice Somnath Iyer, and we used to see them a lot. So actually moving around in the company of these very, grand-looking people, even though we didn't hear them in the courtroom, was in itself, I think, a fantastic part of growing up. And of course, my grandfather was also a very handsome man. So that's another thing perhaps that also, kind of got my attention. But most importantly, the time he gave for his family is, I think, something that all of us must, as professionals, understand that it's so important to find a work-life balance, even for the most busiest persons. And I say that, these are all my recollections of many, many years ago, but he always found time. Even if he was busy in his chamber, he would come out when people came, greet them, spend time with them, inquire about them. I've heard a lot about his generosity in helping family members who were not very well off. And I think that's again a greatness that is something that we've all come to admire. So otherwise also immaculately dressed, sagacious, extremely fluent in what he would deliver in his speeches. I've listened to a few speeches of his as well, and that's something, again, to remember very well. The other thing I remember very much are the trips outside. And often you couldn't take trips that easily. In those days, 50-odd years ago, it wasn't easy to do those trips. But he would take the trouble of making sure whichever of us was free would go with him. So I remember very, very vividly, for example, a trip to Mysore, where there were some family friends, a person who worked, a senior person in the railways. And so when you have memories, it's not just memories of trips. What I remember from that trip is ragi malt. Ragi malt was a drink I had never been exposed to. And the fact that trip is associated with ragi malt, a taste that I acquired at that time. So a lot of memories, tastes, smells, touch, tactile kind of things are all associated with, times then. The other thing that was mentioned was the, road accident in Yelvigi when he had to go as an investigator for that particular thing. We managed a family trip at that time. He went on his own, but we managed to go by car. And in fact, recently, I think it was near Bijapur. It's a little bit away from Bijapur. When I saw the sign Yelvigi, these memories came flooding back. And what did we do there? Nothing much. We stayed in some, rest house, and then we ate. Again, my first impression was soppin kadle. I don't know how many of you eat soppin kadle, but my memory, I had not seen it in Bangalore at all. And for the first time, near Elvigi, we actually ate soppin kadle, and that again is a most joyful memory. There are many memories like that. I believe once they left me behind and went on this grand trip, I think it was Davangere or something, not very far away, but then I promptly fell sick because my mother was accompanying the entourage, and as a result, they had to come hurrying back, cutting their trip short. So I've done important things like that as well, making sure that they can't have a good time with me. So, and we have some fantastic photographs that it was only J.J. Welling at that time. Mr. Shantakumar, I think you would know. It was down MG Road, J.J. Welling. And the most wonderful pictures of their swearing-in ceremony, all the brother judges standing in line, fantastic black and white photographs that, for generations to come, whenever you look at it, it brings back wonderful memories of what they all were at that time. And that was very well preserved in our families. My mother preserved them very well. And finally, I just want to say, that Justice talked about, the importance of liberty as well as restraint. I think liberty and restraint are things that are relevant not just to the press, but to every one of us. I've worked in the area of human rights with the National Human Rights Commission, where we talk of the rights of persons with mental disorders, rights of patients coming to hospitals. Even there, I believe the rights must always be embellished with responsibility, understood with responsibility. And as we move in a country where we look at making sure that even the most vulnerable individual can exercise their rights, understanding that as citizens we have a huge responsibility in taking the country forward, is something that I just wanted to say. So, to end, I just wanted to say that whatever is the culture of tradition and responsibility, we all kind of possibly develop in our early years. So the models and the kind of transformative, things, you mentioned your father and how his attitude to life kind of, stayed with you for a long time. Similarly, I think these kind of role models that we see, particularly very close to us, can be impactful and can change us for life. So for those of all of you who are young in this audience, the few people here, I think you don't know the kind of impact that you can make on people. So the way you conduct yourself, the way you speak, the way you dress, the way you kind of interact with people is going to make a huge impact. And I think that's something we need on future generations. They don't have to be your grandchildren. It could be the entire citizenry that you can impact. So I think we all need to take care on the way we handle ourselves and be role models for other children and for society at large. Thank you very much, KGR, for having me. KRG and KGR are almost kind of synonymous with each other. So thank you very much. And thanks to all the family members who are here. There's only one doctor, as I mentioned, but there are many lawyers and other professionals. Thank you very much for hearing me.
Thank you, madam. You have brought the personal memories with the family of K.R.G. You have also said about your growing in the family and the family bondage, which is very important. So you are a medical doctor in the midst of social doctor. And ragi malt is the secret of your energy. Thank you. May I now call upon Shri Udayawalla to give the presidential remarks. Shri Udayawalla.
There's a program sheet here. Justice Aravind Kumar was given, as I see, 45 minutes, but he took only 20 minutes. 22 minutes. I stand corrected, sir. That's the precision. Somebody said, he's precise, he remembers the timing, and he's time conscious. And that's what, all the lawyers and the judges must bear in mind. What this program sheet says is, I am given 8 minutes.
Lawyers, it doesn't apply lawyers.
I think it must apply more to lawyers than anybody else, because we will talk endlessly. And it's time that, we contain our, this thing. I remember, I was in the US Supreme Court in 1990. I went to the Supreme Court, sat there. Arguments were going on. I think, the lawyer was allotted 10 minutes. 10 minutes was over, there was a red light. He was halfway through the sentence, he sat down. I think some culture, this culture, I think, we must adopt as lawyers. Well, after a very scintillating lecture from Justice Aravind Kumar, whatever I say will be insipid. I want to say only this. Today, everybody is on iPhone or phone or iPad. Social media has taken over us. what do we see? It is only gossip and nothing else. It is these kinds of lectures which will energize us, which will make us think. In fact, I would say Justice Arvind Kumar has given us a food for thought. And these kinds of lectures, and I am grateful to Mr. K.G. Raghavan, my dear friend, because he says this endowment lecture will be there every year. The youngsters, to scintillate them, to make them think this kind of lectures are extremely important, because we have today stopped thinking. We only go into the net, we look at it, we find something, and we think that is what it is. We have stopped thinking. I think these kinds of lectures with such scintillating lectures given by Justice Arvind Kumar, we will start thinking, and I am grateful to Mr. Raghavan for creating this endowment lecture. Well, coming to the press and media, I can only say an apocryphal story. It is said that Pope, one of the popes, in 80s, very benevolent Pope, very kind-hearted. He was so concerned about the underdogs, the downtrodden, the marginalized. He went to New York. When he landed in New York, there was a lecture series. All the press people came, All the press people came, and they started asking questions. One of the pressmen asked him, Pope, you are known for your sympathy and empathy for the marginalized, for the downtrodden. Are you going to visit the red light district in New York? And he asked, Pope asked, where is the red light district? Next day's headline said, Pope asked, where is red light district in New York? Now, this kind of a slant, which we see in the newspapers today, was there earlier also. But today it is more. So, as Justice Arvind Kumar said, responsibility. As he said, there is freedom of speech with responsibility. That is absolutely essential. If you see the papers, you will find on one side a slant towards right, another side slant towards left. Where is the center? And press is not just paper press or the print media. It is also the TV channels. And today, you have a clear cleavage. There is nothing like a center, nothing like people who think. It's always shouting in the TV, and press again a slant. I think it is time that, after all, what is press? Press today, those of you who have remember, I'm sure many of you are not even born. When the emergency was there, it is the press which played an important role. And Indian Express was at the forefront of the fight. And thanks to this fight that went on, many people were incarcerated. Things were different then, but press stood solidly for the freedom and for the democracy. And that is what is needed. And thanks to the press, today, if the democracy has to survive, press is absolutely essential, because they are the sentinels, the fourth estate, as Justice Arvind Kumar said, and they have a very, very important role to play. But at the same time, there has to be a balancing, and that is what Justice Arvind Kumar dilated upon. And I'm sure all of us will now start thinking, including the pressmen, whoever have come here. And thanks to Justice Arvind Kumar and to K.G. Raghavan, thanks to all of you for a wonderful evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. He stuck to the time, 8 minutes. In fact, ಒಂದು ಘಟನೆ ನನಗೆ ನೆನಪಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಉದಯಹೊಳ್ಳವರು ತರೋರೆ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಯಾರೋ ಇದ್ದವರು ಪ್ರಿಸೈಡ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕಿತ್ತು. ಒಂದು ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಅಧ್ಯಾಪಕರು, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ವಕೀಲರು, ಇಬ್ಬರದ್ದು ಭಾಷಣ. ಅಧ್ಯಾಪಕರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಕೊನೆಗೆ he stopped, professor. Then the advocate started, he never ended. So somebody said to the presiding officer, sir, can you make him to stop? ಆಗ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಅಧ್ಯಾಪಕರಿಗಾದರೆ ಒಂದು ಪೀರಿಯಡ್ ಅಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಒಂದು ಗಂಟೆ ಇರ್ತದೆ, ಗಂಟೆ ಹೊಡೆದ್ರೆ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. ವಕೀಲರಿಗೆ ನಾನು ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿರೋರು. So we'll come to the last part of the and main part of the program, felicitation. So I request Hegde, please arrange for that. May I request Justice Arvind Kumar to please come and sit.
Justice Arvind Kumar asked, why for me? I said for igniting the young minds and the old minds. That's more important.
It's with great immense pride and deep admiration that we respect a legal luminary, a mentor to many, a statesman of the courtroom, and above all, a gentleman. Senior Advocate Sri Uday HOLLA. Mr. HOLLA entered the legal profession 52 years back, a time when litigation was tough, the typewriters were loud, the briefs were anything but brief. From those earlier days, he distinguished himself not just through an encyclopedic command of law, but through a rare blend of grace, grit, and generosity. He has practiced in all levels of court, up to the Supreme Court of India and beyond. Mr. HOLLA has already been, if there is an important matter in any of the court, there is chance that Mr. HOLLA has already been there, argued that, won the appreciation of both the court as well as the council. His contributions extend beyond borders. What truly elevates Sir is what sets him apart, not merely by the volume of the briefs that he has handled, but by the depth of the values that he upholds. A senior counsel of high standing, he has been appointed as the Advocate General of Karnataka not once, not twice, but 4 times. A rare distinction that reflects not just competence, but unwavering integrity and trust. And then there is the side of Mr. HOLLA that not all citizens, clients or counsels may have seen, a compassionate citizen deeply involved in social service. Through his role as managing trustee of Bengaluru Professionals Benevolent Fund, he has helped countless advocates during medical emergencies, family tragedies, and financial distress. In a profession known for its pressure, he has quietly built a platform of dignity, relief, and solidarity. For budding lawyers amongst us and students present here, Mr. Holla's lectures, arguments have been transformative for us, clarifying complex constitutional principles with conviction and modesty. Sir has shown that law is flexible as well as humane, inspiring us through his views on judicial as creativity and dissent. Sir, by this we are honoring ourselves in the fraternity. Sir, on behalf of the legal fraternity, we from Vakeelara Vaahini thank you for being the beacon of wisdom, humility, and tireless dedication. You have not only inspired a great generation, but you have uplifted the profession itself. Thank you, sir.
Erudite, persistent, honest, self-aware and wholehearted. Numerous adjectives, one man. The prodigy of an illustrious father and a distinguished senior counsel, Mr. K.R.G. Since his designation in 2018, Mr. Raghavan has appeared and argued before the Honorable Supreme Court, various Honorable High Courts, trial courts and tribunals, and has perfected the art of delivering arguments with perspicacity. Walking through the corridors of the Honorable High Court of Karnataka, one can always observe Mr. Raghavan in his element, arguing before the bench passionately. Mr. Raghavan has guided various young advocates, not only at seminars and conferences, but in his daily interactions with us, at the bar and in the corridors of the court. Mr. Raghavan has a gentle approach of molding and shaping us young lawyers to not only become astute practitioners of law, but to also become responsible officers of the court. They say the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Mr. Raghavan, on the other hand, has been a staunch disbeliever in that statement, striking a delicate balance between law and humaneness. Mr. Raghavan's care and compassion for the less fortunate has been a striking quality, a quality that Mr. Raghavan has inherited from his father, Justice K.R. GOPIVALLABHA IYENGAR. This quality of care and compassion is reflected in the actions of Mr. Raghavan, who, in his capacity as chairman of the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan's BBMP school, has been deeply involved in undertaking various educational initiatives for the underprivileged children of the society. These benevolent actions serve as a gentle reminder that Mr. Raghavan is first and foremost a humanitarian. On behalf of the team at Vakeelara Vaahini, sir, we thank you. Thank you so much.
That was young advocate Amrita Navda and Sandeepani Naglur who briefed about this. They are bright advocates coming up in profession. Sir, with this, I think we have honored you, and actually we are getting honored because of that. So we thank you from bottom of heart from Vakeelara Vaahini. Now it's the time for Dr. Hegde. It is difficult to keep him silent. So we deliberately strategized to see that he is not made to speak till now. Vote of thanks, Dr. D.M. Hegde. Vakeelara Vaahini issues are available. We request you to kindly take the copy. We also request you to subscribe to the magazine as also to the YouTube channel. The QR code is also available. Thank you.
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೆರೆದಿರುವ ಎಲ್ಲ ಅದ್ಭುತ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳಿಗೂ ನನ್ನ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ವಿತ್ ದ ಪರ್ಮಿಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಪ್ರೆಸಿಡೆಂಟ್, ನಾನು ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿಗೆ ಬಂದಮೇಲೆ ಬಹುಶಃ ನಂದೊಬ್ಬನಂತಲ್ಲ, ಎಲ್ಲರದ್ದು ಹೀಗೆ ಆಗತ್ತೆ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊನೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷಲ್ಲಿ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದರೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಮುಟ್ಟುತ್ತೆ. ಭಾರತ ಜನನಿಯ ತನುಜಾತೆ, ಜಯ ಹೇ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಮಾತೆ. ಹಿರಿಯರೇ, ವೇದಿಕೆಯ ಮೇಲಿನ ಗಣ್ಯರೇ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೆರೆದಿರುವ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಹನೀಯರೇ, ಪುಣ್ಯವಿದು ಜನ್ಮ ಜನ್ಮದ ಪುಣ್ಯವಿದು. 50 ವರ್ಷ ಹಿಂದೆ ಜಗತ್ತು ಹೇಗಿತ್ತು, 100 ವರ್ಷ ಹಿಂದೆ ಜಗತ್ತು ಹೇಗಿತ್ತು, 500 ವರ್ಷ ಹಿಂದೆ ಜಗತ್ತು ಹೇಗಿತ್ತು ಅದೊಂದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಬಿಟ್ಟರೆ ಅದು ಹೀಗೆ ಇತ್ತು ಅನ್ನುವ ಅನುಭವ ನಮಗೆ ದಕ್ಕಲ್ಲ. ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಇದ್ದಂತೆ, ರಾಮ ಇದ್ದಂತೆ, ಅರ್ಜುನ ಇದ್ದಂತೆ, ಕೌರವ ಇದ್ದಂತೆ, ಯುದ್ಧ ಆಯ್ತಂತೆ. ಬಹಳ ತಮಾಷೆ ವಿಷಯ ಅಂದರೆ, ಶಾಂತಿ ಸ್ಥಾಪನೆಗಾಗಿ ಯುದ್ಧ ನಡೆಯುತ್ತಲೇ ಬಂದಿದೆ, ಶಾಂತಿ ಸ್ಥಾಪನೆಗಾಗಿ ಯುದ್ಧ ನಡೆಯುತ್ತಲೇ ಇರುತ್ತದೆ. ಮನುಷ್ಯ ರಕ್ತಕ್ಕೆ ಆಸೆ ಪಟ್ಟಷ್ಟು ಬಹುಶಃ ಬೇರೆ ಯಾವುದಕ್ಕೂ ಆಸೆ ಪಟ್ಟಿಲ್ಲ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ನಮ್ಮ ಇತಿಹಾಸ. ನಾವಿವತ್ತಿಲ್ಲಿ ಸೇರಿರೋ ಎಷ್ಟು ಪುಣ್ಯಾತ್ಮರು ಅಂದರೆ, ನಾನು ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಆಮಂತ್ರಣ ಪತ್ರಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ಒಬ್ಬ ಹಿರಿಯ ವಕೀಲ ಮಿತ್ರರಿಗೆ ಕೊಡೋಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋದಾಗ, ನೀವೇನ್ರಿ ನೀವು ಸಿರ್ಸೆ ಕಡೆ ಹೆಗಡೆಯವರಲ್ವಾ, ಈ ಗೋಪಿವಲ್ಲಭ ಅಯ್ಯಂಗಾರ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿಯವರಾ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕುಟುಂಬಸ್ಥರಾ ಕೇಳಿದರು. ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ನಾನು ವಕೀಲರ ಜಾತಿಯವನು. ಸೊ ಅವರು ಈ ವಕಾಲತ್ತಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಸ್ಥಾನವನ್ನು ಅಲಂಕರಿಸಿದವರು, ಅದು ನಮ್ಮ ಸಂಬಂಧ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದೆ. ಓ ಹಾಗ ಅಂತಂದರು. ಹಿರಿಯರ ಜೀವನ ನಮಗೆ ಜೀವನ ಸ್ಫೂರ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ನೀಡುತ್ತೆ. ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ನಾವು ಹೀಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಬದುಕನ್ನು ರೂಪಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳಬಹುದು ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಕಲ್ಪನೆಗೆ ಭರವಸೆ ಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ. ನಾಳೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಭರವಸೆ, ನಿನ್ನೆ ಅನ್ನುವುದು ನೆನಪು, ಎರಡರ ಮಧ್ಯೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನ ನಡೀತಾನೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ಈ ಒಂದು ಪುಣ್ಯದ, ಈ ಒಂದು ಸಂತೋಷದ, ಈ ಒಂದು ಸಮಾರಂಭ ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರನ್ನ ಇಷ್ಟು ಒಬ್ಬೊಬ್ಬರನ್ನ ನಾನು ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೆಸರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಹೋದರೆ ಒಂದು 60 ನಿಮಿಷ ಬೇಕಾಗ್ಬೋದು. 150ಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಜನ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ. ಒಬ್ಬರಿಗಿಂತ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಪ್ರತಿಭಾವಂತರು, ಒಬ್ಬರಿಗಿಂತ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಪುಣ್ಯಾತ್ಮರು, ಒಬ್ಬರಿಗಿಂತ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಸಂಸ್ಕಾರವಂತರು, ಒಬ್ಬರಿಗಿಂತ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಜೀವನವನ್ನು ಮಾದರಿಯಾಗುವ ಹಾಗೆ ಕಟ್ಟಿಕೊಂಡು ನಿಂತವರು. ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಎದುರಿಗೆ ನಿಂತು 4 ತೊದಲು ನುಡಿ ಮಾತಾಡುವಂಥ ಈ ಸೌಭಾಗ್ಯಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ನಾನು ನನ್ನ ಜೀವನದ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಿರಿಯರಿಗೆ, ನನ್ನ ಕುಟುಂಬದ ಪಾಲಕರಿಗೆ, ನನ್ನ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಿರಿಯರಿಗೆ, ಮಿತ್ರರಿಗೆ ಆಭಾರಿಯಾಗಿದ್ದೇನೆ ಈ ಕ್ಷಣದಲ್ಲಿ. ಜಸ್ಟಿಸ್ K.R. ಗೋಪಿವಲ್ಲಭ ಅಯ್ಯಂಗಾರ್, ನನಗನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ ಈ ಕ್ಷಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹತ್ತಿರದಿಂದ, ನಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಫೋನ್ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಸಿಗುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಒಂಚೂರು ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಲೇಯರಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ನೋಡಿ ಆಶೀರ್ವಾದ ಮಾಡ್ತಾಯಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಹಾಗೂ ನನಗನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ ನಾಳೆಗಳು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯವರ ಕೈಯಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಅವರ ಆಶೀರ್ವಾದ ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾಗಿ ನಮಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ದ ಫ್ಯೂಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಪೀಪಲ್, ದ ಫ್ಯೂಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ, ಫ್ಯೂಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಈಸ್ ರಿಯಲಿ ಇನ್ ಸೇಫ್ ಹ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನುವ ಭರವಸೆ ಅವರಿಗಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಆಸೆ ನನಗೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಜಸ್ಟಿಸ್ ಅರವಿಂದ್ ಕುಮಾರ್ ಸಾಹೇಬರು ಎಷ್ಟು ಅದ್ಭುತವಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡಿದರು. ಹೊಸ ಆಲೋಚನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಮತ್ತು ಜರ್ನಲಿಸಮಿನ ಮಹತ್ವವನ್ನು, ವಕಾಲತ್ತಿನ ಸಾಧ್ಯತೆಯನ್ನು ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ತಮ್ಮ ವಿದ್ವತ್ಪೂರ್ಣವಾದ, ಅನುಭವಪೂರ್ಣವಾದ ಹಾಗೂ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಮನಮುಟ್ಟುವ ಹಾಗೆ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸರ್, ಮೈ ಲಾರ್ಡ್, ತಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ವಿನಂತಿಯನ್ನು ಒಪ್ಪಿ ಈ ಒಂದು ಅದ್ಭುತ ಕ್ಷಣಕ್ಕೆ, ಈ ಒಂದು ಜ್ಞಾನದಾಸೋಹಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಕ್ಷಿಯಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರನ್ನು ಮುನ್ನಡೆಸುವ ಶಕ್ತಿಯಾಗಿ ತಾವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರನ್ನು ಹುರಿದುಂಬಿಸಿದ್ದೀರಿ, ಆಶೀರ್ವದಿಸಿದ್ದೀರಿ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ವಕೀಲ ವಾಹಿನಿಯ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಶ್ರೀ ಗೋಪಿವಲ್ಲಭ ಅಯ್ಯಂಗಾರ್, K.G. ರಾಘವನ್ ಸರ್, ಎಲ್ಲರ ಕುಟುಂಬದ ಎಲ್ಲರ ಪರವಾಗಿ, ನಾನು ವೈಯಕ್ತಿಕವಾಗಿ ಹಾಗೂ ನನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಬಳಗದ ಪರವಾಗಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಅನಂತ ವಂದನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಅರ್ಪಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ಹಾಗೂ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ವಿಶೇಷ ಆಹ್ವಾನಿತರಾಗಿ ಪ್ರಸಿದ್ಧ ವೈದ್ಯರು, ಮನೋವೈದ್ಯರು, ನ್ಯೂರಾಲಜಿಸ್ಟ್, ಮನಸ್ಸು, ದೇಹ ಎಲ್ಲದಕ್ಕೂ ಔಷಧಿ ಕೊಡುವ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಪ್ರತಿಮಾ ಮೂರ್ತಿ, ಅಸಾಧಾರಣ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿತ್ವದ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಪ್ರತಿಮಾ ಮೂರ್ತಿಯವರು ನಮ್ಮ ಕೋರಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ಮನ್ನಿಸಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಆಹ್ವಾನಕ್ಕೆ ಓಗೊಟ್ಟು ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀರಿ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಆತ್ಮೀಯವಾದ ನೆನಪುಗಳನ್ನು ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಜೊತೆ ಹಂಚಿಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀರಿ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಾನು ವಕೀಲರ ವಾಹಿನಿಯ ಪರವಾಗಿ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೆರೆದಿರುವ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಹನೀಯರ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಹಾಗೂ ನನ್ನ ವೈಯಕ್ತಿಕವಾಗಿ ನಿಮಗೆ ಅನಂತ ವಂದನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಅರ್ಪಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ಇಂಥ ಅವಕಾಶಗಳು ಸಿಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಲೈಫಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೇ ಅವಕಾಶಗಳು ಸಿಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಕೂತರೆ ಯಾವುದು ಹಿಂಗೆ ಬಂದು ಇದು ತಗೋ ಮಾಡು ಸಿಗತ್ತೆ ನಿನಗೆ ಅನ್ನುವಷ್ಟು ಅದೃಷ್ಟವಂತರೂ ನಾವಲ್ಲ. ಯಾರೋ ಮಹಾತ್ಮರು ಹೇಳಿದಾಗೆ ಅವಕಾಶಗಳನ್ನ ಸೃಷ್ಟಿಸ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಆ ಹಿನ್ನೆಲೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು KG ರಾಘವನ್ ಸಾಹೇಬರಿಗೆ ಒತ್ತಾಯ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವರ ವಾತ್ಸಲ್ಯವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಅನುಭವಿಸಿದ ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯವನ್ನು ಬಳಸಿಕೊಂಡು ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಆಗಲೇಬೇಕು ಸರ್, ಮಾಡಲೇಬೇಕು ಸರ್ ನಾವು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ತಾವು ಒಪ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಾರ್ಗದರ್ಶನ ಮಾಡಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನಿಂತು ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಅನುಭವದ ಬೆಳಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಮುನ್ನಡೆಸ್ತಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ KG ರಾಘವನ್ ಸರ್ಗೆ ನಾನು ವಕೀಲರ ವಾಹಿನಿಯ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಹಾಗೂ ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಪರವಾಗಿ, ಸಂಘಟಕರ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಅನಂತ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನ ಅರ್ಪಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ಇನ್ನು ನಮ್ಮ ಪುಟ್ಟ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತು ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಕಿವಿ ಹಿಂಡಿ ಆಗಾಗ ಸರಿಯಾದ ದಾರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಮುನ್ನಡೆಯುವಂತೆ ತಮ್ಮ ಮೌನದಿಂದಲೇ, ಚುರುಕು ನೋಟದಿಂದಲೇ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಎಚ್ಚರಿಸಿ ಸದಾ ಜಾಗೃತರಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಜವಾಬ್ದಾರಿನ ಅರಿತುಕೊಂಡು ನಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾರ್ಗದರ್ಶನ ಮಾಡಿ ಪ್ರೋತ್ಸಾಹ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಶ್ರೀ ಉದಯ ಹೊಳ್ಳ ಸರ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ನಾನು ವೈಯಕ್ತಿಕವಾಗಿ ಹಾಗೂ ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಅನಂತ ಕೃತಜ್ಞತೆ ಅರ್ಪಿಸುತ್ತೇನೆ. ಈ ಒಂದು ಸುಂದರ ಸಂಜೆಯ ಸ್ಮರಣೀಯ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿರುವ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಹನೀಯರಿಗೆ ನಾನು ದ ಚೀಫ್ ಜಸ್ಟಿಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಹೈಕೋರ್ಟ್, ಜಸ್ಟಿಸ್ ಹಂಚಿಗೇರಿ ಸಾಹೇಬರು, ಚೇರ್ಮನ್ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಲಾ ಕಮಿಷನ್, ಹಾಗೂ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಹೋದರೆ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬರ ಹೆಸರನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಹೋದರೆ ಬಹುಶಃ ಅದೇ ಒಂದು ಅರ್ಧ ಗಂಟೆ ಮುಕ್ಕಾಲು ಗಂಟೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಿರುವ ಎಲ್ಲ ನನ್ನ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರಿಗೆ, ನನ್ನ ಹಿತೈಷಿಗಳಿಗೆ, ನನ್ನ ಬಂಧುಗಳಿಗೆ, ನನ್ನ ಆಲ್ ದ ಹಾನರಬಲ್ ಜಡ್ಜಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಹೈಕೋರ್ಟ್, ಆಲ್ ದ ಡೆಸಿಗ್ನೇಟೆಡ್ ಸೀನಿಯರ್ ಅಡ್ವೊಕೇಟ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಹೈಕೋರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲರನ್ನೂ ನಾನು ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಕೃತಜ್ಞತೆಯನ್ನು ಸ್ಮರಿಸುತ್ತಾ ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಸಹಾಯ, ಸಹಕಾರ, ಮಾರ್ಗದರ್ಶನ, ಪ್ರೋತ್ಸಾಹ ನಮ್ಮ ಈ ಪುಟ್ಟ ವಕೀಲರ ವಾಹಿನಿ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಗೆ ಬೇಕು. ಇದನ್ನು ಬೆಳೆಸಿ ಉಳಿಸಿ ನಾವು ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀವಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಈ ಪುಸ್ತಕ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಮತ್ತು ಜೂನ್ ತಿಂಗಳ ವಕೀಲರ ವಾಹಿನಿ ಸಂಚಿಕೆ ಕೂಡ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ಇದರೊಳಗಡೆ ನಾವು ನೋಡುವ KG ರಾಘವನ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, ನಾವು ನೋಡದಿರುವ KG ರಾಘವನ್ ಸಾಹೇಬರು ಕೂಡ ಒಳಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರನ್ನೆಲ್ಲರೂ ನಾವು ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು. ಹಾಗೂ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನಾನು ಕೃತಜ್ಞತೆ ಅರ್ಪಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ಪ್ರಾಮಾಣಿಕ ಪತ್ರಿಕೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದಾದ ಪ್ರಜಾವಾಣಿಯ ಮಾಲಕರು, ಪ್ರಜಾವಾಣಿಯ ಸಂಪಾದಕರು, ಡೆಕ್ಕನ್ ಹೆರಾಲ್ಡ್ನ ಮಾಲಕರು ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನನ್ನ ಹಿತೈಷಿಗಳಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಶಾಂತಕುಮಾರ್ ಸರ್ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀರಿ. ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ನಾನು ಎಲ್ಲರ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಕೃತಜ್ಞತೆಯಿಂದ ವಂದಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ಸೌಂದರ್ಯ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಆಫ್ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಷನ್ಸ್ ಸುಮಾರು ಒಂದು 15,000 ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಓದುವಂಥ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯನ್ನು ಕಟ್ಟಿ ಬೆಳೆಸಿದ ಮಹಾನ್ ಕನಸುಗಾರ ಶ್ರೀ ಸೌಂದರ್ಯ ಮಂಜಪ್ಪ ಅವರು ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀರಿ. ಹಾಗೂ ನನ್ನ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತ ಕೀರ್ತನ್ ಕುಮಾರ್ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀರಿ. ನಿಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಕೃತಜ್ಞತೆಯಿಂದ ಈ ಕ್ಷಣದಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ಸ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. KG ರಾಘವನ್ ಸರ್ ಕುಟುಂಬದ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ, ಭಾರತೀಯ ವಿದ್ಯಾಭವನದ ನಿರ್ದೇಶಕರು, ನನ್ನ ಹಿತೈಷಿಗಳಾದ ಶ್ರೀ ಅಂತಾರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀಯ ಮಟ್ಟದ ಕಲಾವಿದರಾಗಿರುವ ಶ್ರೀ HN ಸುರೇಶ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ, ಹಾಗೂ ಜಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನಾಗಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಿ ಮೇಡಮ್ಗೆ, ಈ ಒಂದು ಸಭಾಂಗಣವನ್ನು ಇಷ್ಟು ಸುಂದರವಾಗಿ ಅಚ್ಚುಕಟ್ಟಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ನಮ್ಮ ಭವನದ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಿಬ್ಬಂದಿಗಳಿಗೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾಧ್ಯಮದ ಮಿತ್ರರಿಗೆ ಹಾಗೂ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಹೋದರೆ ಹೀಗೆ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ ನಾನು ವೈಯಕ್ತಿಕವಾಗಿ ಹಾಗೂ ವಕೀಲರ ವಾಹಿನಿ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯಿಂದ ಹಾಗೂ ನನ್ನ ವಕೀಲರ ವಾಹಿನಿ ಬಳಗದಿಂದ ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಅನಂತ ಕೃತಜ್ಞತೆಗಳನ್ನ ಅರ್ಪಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸೋ ಮಚ್. ಐ ಆಮ್ ರಿಯಲಿ ಓವರ್ವೆಲ್ಮ್ಡ್. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಈ ವಾತ್ಸಲ್ಯ, ಈ ಒಂದು ಬಂಧುತ್ವ, ಈ ಒಂದು ಸದಾಶಯ, ಒಂದು ಸ್ನೇಹಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ನಾನು ಎಂದೆಂದಿಗೂ ಋಣಿಯಾಗಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸೋ ಮಚ್.
Thank you, Hegde. The program comes to an end. Thank you very much.
ಮೈಕ್ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಮುಖ್ಯ ಅತಿಥಿಗಳು ಗಣ್ಯರು ಕೂತಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಯಾರಾದರೂ KGR ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿಯವರಾಗಿರಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಯಾರೇ ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರಾಗಿರಲಿ